envisioning a scenario where both Germany does not exist, while the historical events and alliances to lead to the Great War is challenging. If you're coming from Possible Histories video, skip ahead to the pre-war section. The two most obvious answers of a French victory in the Franco-Prussian War or an Austrian victory in the Austro-Prussian War seem possible, but either outcome would lead to an Austrian-formed Germany, so neither is sufficient. The greatest chance, therefore, deals with Napoleon and the often forgotten Battle of Hanau. Here, in the Battle of Hanau, Bavarian Karl Philipp von Wriede's Austro-Bavarian Corps triumphed over Napoleon's retreating French forces, altering the course of history. After Napoleon's earlier defeat at Leipzig, the victory showcased Bavaria's strength and earned them recognition from other German states. The battle's aftermath had significant political consequences. Bavaria's success in the Congress of Vienna negotiated territorial gains, weakening Prussia and solidifying Bavaria in prominence. This set the stage for the 1815 German Confederation's formation, with Bavaria aligning closer to Austria. Napoleon's defeat prevented the 100 Days in Waterloo, maintaining France's larger borders, avoiding the Austro-Neapolitan War, and shaping the Italian political landscape. Napoleon still passed away at 51, but Napoleon II never got pneumonia. He grew up in Austria as well the French and the Habsburg, displaying military prowess. In 1828, fueled by anti-Bourbon sentiments, a French uprising restored the Republic with Napoleon II as a president. He pursued different policies, focusing on expanding France and integrating Parma and Lucca. Resurgent France under Napoleon II annexed Belgium in 1830, garnering allies in Austria and Bavaria. In 1834, a popular coup led to the Second French Empire. In 1848, a year marked by widespread revolutions in Europe, France under Napoleon II remained stable due to popular contentment. Revolutions erupted across the continent, so France formalized a German alliance with Austria, Bavaria, and Hanover. The First Italian Wars of Independence saw them crush Sardinia and Naples, dividing Italy between France and Austria. Austria's influence and stability were bolstered, while France expanded, and Naples saw a new Bonaparte king. Most of the revolts were crushed by the year's end. The Second Schleswig War unfolded with Austria and Prussia defeating Denmark. This victory set the stage for the Austro-Prussian War. As tensions escalated, the German Confederation was unable to prevent war, and Austria found strength in alliances. The war followed France's desired trajectory, leading to territorial gains for France, Austria, and Bavaria. This led to multiple middle-tier German powers, preventing German unification, and Prussia's defeat led to their expulsion from the German Confederation. The Austro-Hungarian Compromise of 1867 doesn't happen, maintaining Austria's dominance over the empire. The succession crisis in Spain emerged during the 1870s, results in a republic, but it didn't trigger a major European conflict, so the Franco-Prussian War was averted. As the Spanish crown was not offered to the Prussians, and France maintained closer ties to Germany. The Russo-Turkish War still occurred, leading to Balkan states' independence and Greek success. The Berlin Conference never happened, with more fragmented African divisions reflecting the European political landscape. Its minor powers pursued colonies. If you want to see all this in more detail, go check out Part 1 on Possible Histories channel. The early 20th century witnessed significant political shifts that set the stage for a tumultuous period ahead. The Russo-Japanese War left Russia humiliated, tarnishing its international image. In 1908, the Young Turk Revolution further weakened the Ottoman Empire, sowing the seeds of its decline. The Balkan Wars raged on, with Greece emerging as a victor due to the support from their powerful allies of France, Austria, and Bavaria. As tensions mounted, sides formed. The allies comprised the UK, Russia, Prussia, Serbia, Romania, Montenegro, Sicily, and Bulgaria. Russia played a critical role in mediating Balkan conflicts between their Slavic brothers. The coalition forces were comprised of France, Austria, now far more industrialized due to Silesia, Greece, the German Confederation, including Bavaria, Hanover, Saxony, Württemberg, Brandenburg, Schleswig-Holstein, and the remaining German states, and Naples. An anomaly in the situation was the Ottomans. Neither side was willing to support them fully. While Britain offered some aid, Russia held greater importance, desiring control over the Balkans. The Ottoman direct conflict with Serbia, Russia, Greece, Austria, and France left them isolated. Greece aimed to reclaim Byzantine territories in the west and northern Anatolia, supported by promises from the coalition in a war against Turkey. Russia's ambitions extended to Constantinople to secure warm water access and dominate the Black Sea. Before we get into the war, I want to thank all of you for your excellent strategy and ideas for who would win the conflict on one of my community posts. Many of you were able to deduce that France was still Bonapartist, and used some great points supporting both sides to win. Also, please take a sec to like, share, and subscribe for more. Now let's delve in to see who would become the masters of Europe. The culmination of the Balkan Wars in 1912 serves as a catalyst that propelled the major powers on to World War I, with the web of alliances and treaties driving the key players to war. The war began with the Bulgarian-Ottoman invasion of Greece, which turned into a disaster as the Greeks pushed them back and began marching into their lands. The Serbians also invaded Greece, but they were not allied to the Ottomans, and they too were pushed back and invaded by Greece, which brought the Russians into the conflict. Once Russia entered, France and Austria immediately began militarizing as the major powers prepared for total war. Britain initially abstained from joining hostilities, adopting a cautious stance. It was not until Austria's invasion of Prussia 3 months after the conflict erupted that Britain was forced to act. Britain's assurance of protection, akin to Belgium in our reality, came into play. The British population was very mixed about the conflict, but a victory against the coalition could lead to unbridled African supremacy, as they would connect their southern and western colonies to Egypt. Additionally, the British were eager to once again cripple their eternal rivals, France. Despite having the most formidable navy on the planet, there was a major logistical issue. Landing troops in tactically important areas was impossible. Despite global naval supremacy, they did not control the Mediterranean. French control over the western Mediterranean prevented mass deployment through Egypt. Austria and Naples harassed Cyprus and Egypt as well, so troops were brought to the Eastern Front through South Africa up to Egypt and then into the fold. Deployment into Prussia through the Baltic was impossible as the Germanic and French navies kept the sea tightly controlled. Even Denmark's neutrality proved insufficient to grant passage through the Danish Straits, as the coalition exerted pressure on the Danes. Mass deployment through Russia was unfeasible, as Vladivostok was too far, and Arkhangelsk was frozen for half the year. This left the British and Russians in a dire situation, and forced them to both negotiate with the crumbling Ottomans. The Ottomans would retain part of Thrace for Allied support should they win. Most of the Balkans would be split between Serbia and Bulgaria. The British finally had their way to bring troops into the conflict, but it had already been 7 months at this point. And now, it was too late. The Balkan front witnessed intense combat, with the coalition forces overpowering Serbian, Bulgarian, and Romanians. Greek forces made a swift advancement, seizing Albania and penetrating Turkey. Serbia was occupied by Austrians and Greeks. Greece had already taken land on the Anatolian coast, so the British intervention was far too late. Greece had also initiated Pontic Greeks, Cypriots, Armenians, and Assyrians to rebel against the Turks, creating chaos that aided the coalition. In the Baltic front, an Austrian blitz through the Vistula River gave way to trench warfare. Prussian and Russian troops struggled due to insufficient British aid and Russian incompetence. Austrian tactics emulated those of the actual Germans, promising independence to oppressed peoples living within Russia and Prussia. This sparked uprisings among the Poles, Ukrainians, Lithuanians, Slavonians, and Finns, escalating the challenges. The French reinforcements tipped the balance, resulting in a complete Russian collapse, reminiscent of reality. Here, the Russian Revolution took a different turn. The international community, concerned about the rise of communism, actively supported anti-communist factions in Russia. As a result, communism failed to gain a strong foothold, but the loss of Russia was the death knell to the Allies. This war aligned more closely with the German actual predictions for how World War I course would have played out should Germany have won. Ultimately, the coalition secured victory by 1915. The British inability to fully support their allies was a central cause for the coalition's victory. Their near century of disengagement from the continent had come back to haunt them, as it became evident that they were not the unchallenged power they once appeared to be. The Vienna Conference shaped a new geopolitical landscape. Austria puppeted Serbia, Montenegro, and Romania. Britain escaped severe punishment as there was no worry of a French invasion. They faced moderate war reparations while retaining control of Gibraltar and the Suez. However, they were limited on the Mediterranean Navy, which was a major humiliation. France gained British colonies in West Africa and Malta, further expanding their influence in Africa and cementing Mediterranean control. The Ottoman Middle East was dominated by France. The Bonapartists still had their role as protector of Christians in the Middle East, so it served as a major political win. Armenia and Assyria were liberated, as puppets under the Greeks, however. Prussia's influence waned as they lost the Congo, split now between Bavaria and Hanover. The most important Austrian puppet was Poland, serving as a check on Russia. Austria returned Krakow to Poland, which became the capital due to its size and industrialization, and it made it easier for the Austrians to keep the Poles in check. Ukraine, Ruthenia, Lithuania, and Livonia were also formed under Habsburg leadership. Following their significant war contribution, Greece ended up as the biggest winners, and as a result, the Ottomans were obliterated. Constantinople, western and southern Anatolia, Cyprus, and the Pontus were carved from the corpse of the once mighty Ottoman Empire. They also took former coastal lands from Bulgaria that had significant Greek populations. The Greek efforts united the Demotic, Pontic, and Cappadocian Greeks into a major power that had not been seen since the 11th century. French forces ensured Turkish compliance with the peace settlement as stability in Anatolia was critical, marking the ascension of Greece as a major European power. Additionally, Naples annexed Sicily, further solidifying the coalition dominance of the Mediterranean. Despite the victory for the coalition, it led to three possible outcomes. Option 1. France and Austria remain allies. The alliance between France and Austria remained intact, ensuring the continuity of their respective empires. Both nations were under strong monarchs who prioritized maintaining their power and curbing the spread of liberal ideals, such as republics or democracies. Austria and France found themselves as natural allies due to their shared interests and lack of colonial arguments. This collaboration served to prevent other German states from unifying under a single powerful entity. The absence of significant territorial disputes between these two nations further solidified their alliance. With France controlling a substantial portion of Europe, the likelihood of them jeopardizing their alliance over territorial expansions towards the Rhine was low. The presence of Bavaria as a reliable ally contributed to the stability of the Franco-Austrian partnership. Both France and Austria recognized their positions as the strongest global powers, alongside the United States and the United Kingdom. Moreover, historical ties played a significant role in this scenario. The Bonapartists in France shared a connection with the Habsburgs, further cementing cooperation. The alliance between Austria and France dated back to the Treaty of Versailles in 1756, and continued through various geopolitical shifts, including the French Revolution and the Napoleonic era. For almost 2 centuries of collaboration, their alliance became a norm in international relations, just as the Franco-British alliance is today. This long-standing partnership effectively sidelined Britain from the European continent, establishing a balance of power between France, Austria, and the other major players. Colonially, the French would now rival Britain, further shaping the global geopolitical landscape. Option 2. France and Austria begin a Cold War. France and Austria enter a Cold War situation, given the traumatic memory of the previous devastating war. In the aftermath, all major powers, including France and Austria, aimed to consolidate their lands and maximize their power, while remaining cautious of the emerging American superpower. In this atmosphere, both nations become increasingly wary of each other's intentions and actions. Growing suspicions on both sides fueled the tension, particularly in Italy and the Mediterranean. Fearing the repercussions of another large-scale war, neither France nor Austria desires to engage in an open conflict. Instead, they adopt a strategy of political maneuvering, seeking new alliances and partnerships to strengthen their positions. In this scenario, France and Austria both understand the risks of escalating tensions into armed conflict. As a result, they pursue diplomatic strategies to achieve their goals and mitigate the potential for future devastation. This period of political posturing and careful negotiations could shape the course of European politics, creating a complex web of alliances and rivalries as each nation works to secure its interests without resorting to war. Option 3. France and Austria become enemies. A long-lasting alliance on the scale of the British-Portuguese alliance was unlikely, so France and Austria forged new alliances. Their historical rivalry dated back to the 15th century and included conflicts such as the Italian Wars, the 30 Years' War, the 9 Years' War, and at some points they did even fight Napoleon. Potential allies for Austria were Bavaria, Hanover, the German Confederation, and the United Kingdom, while France strengthened its ties to Russia, Prussia, Greece, Naples, on the other hand. This scenario could have led to a Second World War in the 1940s, with the balance of power and global dominance at stake. Let me know which of these 3 outcomes is the most likely. What do you think would have happened in each scenario? Let me know which of the 3 outcomes you think is the most likely, and what do you think would happen in each scenario, so please let me know in the comment section below. If you guys want a sequel, get the video to 5,000 likes and the series will continue. Please let me know any topics you want to see covered in future videos. If you're interested in my maps and more, please consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a channel member. Please leave a like and subscribe as it helps a lot. Until next time, goodbye.